Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is for the diehards. This is the town hall session, the very last session of the conference. So, we're going to go ahead and get going here. Well, we made it. Whoa! Sorry about that, but okay, there we go. So, so yes, we're at the end. Appreciate the everyone joining for this session, and this is a little bit different style session. It's a little bit of a wrap up. It's a little bit of a final interaction with a lot of folks that have been through these events year after year after year. So. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I mean, we opened this up, which seems like 3 weeks ago, but it was really just a couple of days ago. Yeah, there we go. So just to put the seed in your head, next year, July 16th to 18th, and it will be the 18th annual CDOIQ event. So, and I don't know, it'll be interesting, and as we get through this, what I would be interested in getting, like maybe a show of hands of having everyone in the same building, the rooms together, all of this, rather than bouncing around a bunch of different rooms like we did last year. I mean, I thought it was much better, but I mean, show of hands if we like the actually, because we kind of like hanging out with each other, so this just makes it that we don't have to I remember last year we were trying to fight with locked doors, and could we even get into the session, let alone, and all the moving around. So, and then certainly, a lot of this could not be possible without the sponsors, and I know I've talked to a number of the sponsors, and they were really excited about the attendance of people stopping by, and I think consistently across each of the sponsors, the message was, wow, this event is different. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, that we think so. And because they really did feel that people were serious. They weren't just showing up to get their water bottles with their picture on it or anything like that. They were actually showing up to have a discussion and understand, what that particular sponsor did and how they fit into the market and so forth. So I think what that really does is it makes next year, when we're talking to these sponsors, because obviously, and everyone feels that money is not, coming as easy as what it may have been in years past. So it's difficult for the sponsors to justify the investment. So it makes it easier when they can go back and really quantify those discussions and the relationship. So that's, I think that's super important. Like to recognize Robert Abate as our kind of operations person, running around making sure that all of this was moving along, as one of the key folks that kind of made this work the way that it did for this year. And then, the on-site team. I think the folks that were at the registration desk, and certainly Gertrude running around trying to keep track of Dr. Wang and all of the things. I mean, yeah, that's as we all know, that in itself is a full-time job. First of all, just keeping up with Dr. Wang, let alone, trying to make sure that all the things came together as they needed to. But again, there's just a lot of folks that made that come together, that were actually here day in and day out from morning to night to make it all work. And then in addition to that, the team that was in the remote support, when all the questions needed to be answered and all of the things happening on Whova and all of that. So we'll give them a round of applause as well. And then the folks that pulled all the technology together, right? The streaming and simulcasting into different rooms and all of this. I mean, I think they did a fabulous job. And of course, we make it a little difficult on them, because we show up 5 minutes before the presentation and say things like, well, I know I submitted my presentation a month ago, but I've just made a few little tweaks, and can you just get this on there instead of that? Or, I need to do this or that or what. And so those kinds of things. I mean, the team was phenomenal at responding last minute, trying to pull all this together. So join me in a round of applause for the team. Yeah, led by Rob. And he's definitely coordinating and running around, and you see him bouncing into all the rooms. And so thanks, Rob. Definitely. And, like we talked about, this is a different event, right? It is more of a community, or like I like to refer to it as like a family reunion. It is very different than a lot of events. So, there's been a lot of posting on social media and photos and people getting together and, oh, I haven't seen this person since last year at CDOIQ, and I'm looking forward to seeing them next year at CDOIQ, and those kinds of things. So that really does make a difference in, really I don't know that if we checked, but I'm sure we will later, but how many folks that this was their first CDOIQ. And so thank you. Yeah, I mean, we want to keep that up because it really is what the trajectory that we've done for the event. So I think we mentioned before that when we did the event in just 2019, we had just a handful, like 300 folks. And this year we had around 900 folks. So triple the attendance coming out of the pandemic and all of that. So it's really seeing that growth. But we don't want to lose the community feel either, right? That's the trade-off, is you don't want it to feel like this is just like every other event. So I think these kinds of things and the fun that people have had has really contributed to that. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Wang to talk about, he had mentioned at the very beginning the mission of JFK, and we don't do this because it's easy, we do it because it's hard, and then how is CDOIQ really going to contribute to continuing to grow the CDO role?
Thanks, Mark, for excellent opening.
You're on.
Hello? Yep, you're on. Yeah. Okay, so on the opening day, I said this team, this group, this community has the responsibility to create CDO certification, because MIT is not going to do it, Harvard is not going to do it, CMU won't be able to do it. And so what I was thinking about is, how do we create a certification program, not a certificate, okay? I think that enough certificates, people collect 5, 10 certificates, and when you go to apply for a job, the company doesn't pay attention to it. And so over the last 3 years, I had the fortune to talk with all the leaders in each area, and thanks to Dr. Talbot, he gave me a hint. He said, "Rich, you already have it. You already have it." And I went home, I said, when I sleep, I woke up and said, "Yeah, that's it. I already have it." So here is a curriculum as a concept of operation, as in Pentagon, we say that there's a count-up. So here is what I suggest, to have a curriculum for CDO certification. And so basically, there are 4 steps, and when we find it infinite times over the next 10 years to get this done. So the first one is take intensive short courses, because practitioners, they don't have enough time, with SME subject matter experts in their subject areas, okay? Because what we have offered, including the CD1 certificate, is 1 hour, okay? We managed to have the CD1 half day with Pricewaterhouse, MODEC, and ThoughtWorks to coming in at half a day. I talked to Martha. She said, "You need 3 weeks, okay? And you need to pay her." I said, "Ma, the first one I agree, but the second one, let me talk." He said, "No money, no talk." So I was able to get Martha Denver, the quote-unquote mother of data governance, okay, to say, yes, she signs on. So after that, I started saying, well, what are the topics we need to have for a CDO to function? And that's when Dr. Talbot reminded me that it's already in the syllabus. So I'll show you what they are. So what I want to do is, I want the people who are brave enough to punch in here. We need to have the first 10 missions to be successful. You know, maybe fail a couple of times, but eventually have a man on the moon, right? So I'm very fortunate to report to you, I already got 3 people who are willing to pay Martha. All of them from my CD1 certificate program. I don't know whether if you're here, raise your hand. So I'm looking for the first batch, the first class of somewhere around 10 attendees say, I want to do this all the way through to get certification. So certified CDO. That's different from the CDO certificate. Okay. And so that's what I want to do. The second one is to perform hands-on training program. Dr. Talbot, Martha, and I had a meeting on Monday. It's a Monday, right? Monday afternoon, with a sponsor who has money, I guess, and who is willing to support in any way we want. And at the end, John said, well, that's a training program. Okay, that's not educational enough. Yet it's very important. You have to have training program. You don't want to have an MIT PhD without any training experience to run Calibra. You want someone who did Calibra 1,000 times to do Calibra software, right? So it came to me that we have been doing that, so we should have performed a hands-on training program with CDO tool areas in collaboration with our sponsors. Obviously, I'm biased too. I want a sponsor to come to here. Otherwise, if you're not here, we're not going to let you be participant. That's kind of like, self-serving. But it's also easier to do. So we have several sponsors approaching me. I should not say their name, but you are all in the team. They are willing to support what we have. So what we need to do is we need to team up the attendees of the certification program with the sponsors who have the tool, access to the software tool to train them to be able to do that. And I don't know how they're going to pay, but that's one item, hands-on training program. And another thing that I learned yesterday actually was from MIT Sloan School. It's a business analytics program. And there was a lady called Michelle, I don't know if she's here or not, but she said she's coming here to get companies to hire the MIT Sloan graduates. She wants me to announce it. Each company will pay $60,000. I said, for what? To complete a capstone project. Okay, that's a requirement for the MIT Sloan School's business analytics program. So I just recycle the knowledge. So I said, we need to have a capstone project in a Global 2000 company. And that makes a lot of sense. You have a training program. You want people to be in the global Fortune 500 or Fortune 500 or Global 2000 company to complete. Then if I'm with a federal agency or with Pentagon, I don't need to vet you again because it's already certified. Now, the certification, the first question I said, is it MIT or not? Okay, well, sort of. Well, either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. That's to the trick, right? So what we do is, what we're going to do is, we're going to tell you the certification is based on the following things that they have accomplished. And you judge to see if it qualifies for your company. So I want them to complete a capstone project. Again, this requires the entire community to make it happen. Because obviously, I won't be able to do that. And that would take our sponsors from Monday's meeting and from other sponsors. They say, oh, we would like to sponsor this meeting and the project. And the last one, of course, is attend the annual CDOIQ Symposium continuously for 3 years, maybe probably 30 years. So those are the things that I thought, if someone has completed this following items, I think it's more qualified to be a CDO. You would be less worried about. So now let's see subjects. What are the subjects? And I got permission from all of them. Either I know they will say yes, or I actually ask them. So again, this goes back to, I'm very good at seeding other people's ideas. So the first one, of course, is CDO introduction, which is CDO and certificate program, and that Peter Aiken and I can talk. We can teach in sleep. So that's what we offer. And then the next one, what I heard from Justin Magruder and John Talbot is you have to have data strategy before you can have a data governance project. Okay, so I stole his idea. So I want to have data strategy. But then the question is, who is going to do the data strategy component? That people say, yeah, he mentor you, you're good. Okay. And guess what I put in? He didn't know, but I put Mark Ramsey here. Okay. And another person is Tom Davenport. Okay. And so depending on which area you're in, if you're MIT, probably Davenport is better. But if you're in pharma industry, that's the man. because he carries the weight and comes back to the certification has to carry the weight. And it goes on to data governance. Martha already said yes, she signed it. That's it. And she's ready to offer that component, okay, that subject. And then going to data quality, I had the fortune to have someone actually show up this year, Tom Redmond, okay. Me and Tom Redmond go back to 1988 when he was in AT&T. And he said, yeah, I'm going to do it, but you need to give me a session next year about how people are doing data quality, right or not right. I don't quite care. But he is the kind of like the king on data quality management, wrote many articles. And then there's another component that Martha says, no, data governance is not complete without data curation. And I said, I don't know what's data curation, but so John Telford is doing it for 40 years. So he's probably the foremost expert on entity resolution. So that's where he is. And then I go into data, and Yanni, of course, okay. And then I bump into Doug Lenny. Gertrude was showing me Doug Lenny LinkedIn, that photo. And so I talked to Doug and said, hey, Doug, I want you to be part of this because in economics, you're the expert, but what else? So he said, yeah, it's going to be data monetization and evaluation, Doug Lenny. Okay, and I met, we have a very young attendee, only 87 years old, Frank Ponzio. He came to me and said, Rich, this is very important for CDO. I said, what's that? What's that? He said, communication. Communication, he didn't say change management. But that's why today I was talking about people skill. You know, see, it's very important for CDO. The most important one at the end of the day is be able to communicate. I say data communication or real communication. I say written communication. Okay, so I think if you were a company, you were trying to hire CDO. After you look at this, you say, that carries weight. So, and then I asked my team to come up with this. Gertrude led the team to actually, each one of them, we actually have a description. I was trained by Little Rock and MIT summer program. You cannot just say this, you have a description. So we actually fleshed this out, and again, I used my material. So this will be in the video, you can find it. So this actually fleshed out to the, I think within 2 days I can get that, it's pretty good. So for that, that's a kind of like a CDO certification. I need your input, I need your sponsorship, I need your commitment to make this happen. And I'm hoping that by next year, this time, we actually have 5 students graduate with CDO certification, and they can show up. They have to pay money. I just don't know. Peter, should we ask them to pay $50,000? $50,000. Oh, their company. Donations. Okay. So anyway, I did not mention price because I know that this guy, no matter how much money you pay him, he will not do. Martha don't do. They pick which project do. With that, I'm going to return to you.
Okay. Thanks, Rich. Don't worry about turning off the microphone. This one goes. There we go. Yeah, see, it takes me a while, but I pick up. So we talked about the dates for 2024, and of course, what precedes all of that is having the presentations submitted and the ideas for next year. And so the 2024 call for presentations, we've got Peter, John, and Maria that will be chairing the process. And I think, I have to say that this year, I was one of the folks that was involved. I mean, the process went quite well. I think, again, we'll be getting the feedback from all attendees about the quality of the sessions, but I do know from my personal experience, the sessions that I attended were good quality, on topic. The folks that I spoke with, they had good comments about the sessions. And so this is one of those things that kind of makes or breaks this type of an event. And I did talk with one gentleman where he was like, yeah, it's odd because every session I go to, it's actually relevant and it's never happened before. And I'm like, well, it's that combination of kind of like an academia approach to running this type of an event, not a a kind of a more traditional way that events are organized. And so I think having this background of people submitting proposals and being reviewed and then figuring out what sessions, I think this is the backbone that that really then results in the quality of the sessions. But it's also, as you might imagine, it's a little bit of work. Not a lot, but it's a little bit of work. But actually, it's a lot of work. But anyway, so it's going to be around September where the whole process gets started up again, which I know Peter and John and Maria are looking forward to kick this right back off again. But we do give them a few months off before we start it again. But this is the process, and as always, the team is looking for volunteers that are interested in helping review the presentations. And one of the things that this year, I guess this was the first year where we did the kind of the double blind process and all of that. And, I know it was interesting for me because you're always kind of thinking now, do I know someone that would submit the topic that would be, so you're trying to like unblind the study, but at the same time, you're looking at it on the merits of what is submitted. And I think it really worked out quite well.
One person said, I'm reviewing my own article.
Yeah. And so the other thing that, again, that tends to happen at the end of the session is the thoughts for, what things will look like for next year as well. So you can see here that we are going to be introducing a new track specifically on the public sector. And again, you may have noticed that there were a number of folks walking around in uniforms, and there were different sessions that were aligned to the federal government. And I know even in the sessions that I had, there were folks that were from, working in federal or different agencies and things. And so this is just a kind of a recognition that the number of those kinds of presentations has reached the point where it makes sense to kind of have a dedicated track for public. And then also, either virtual or on-site, we are seeing an increase. I know, Rich, you shared the flag of all the different countries that people were attending. And so because of that, we're also going to be introducing a kind of a global track that makes sense, because the issues when you're dealing with whether it's cross-border types of issues or, regional issues. So really introducing a track that will kind of lean into that because of the number of folks that we're seeing from an international perspective. So that will be another thing that's being looked at for 2024. Gosh, there's a lot of blank spaces there with TBDs on them. So which basically means that a lot of the folks who volunteered to review this year have either yet to step up or said, I had enough fun and I don't want to do this again. But yeah, again, just the point of this is you too can have your photo on this chart. So just reach out to John or Peter or Maria. And, again, the whole, this whole discussion around this being a community is not a marketing message, right? This is reality, which means that the quality comes when you contribute to the process. So I would ask that you really consider stepping up and being involved in it. And it is not something that takes us a tremendous amount of time. I mean, it does from the organization, but from an actual assessment of the paper, it goes quite quickly. And the process is highly automated with that remote team that's there that we keep recognizing. A lot of that, it has been significantly simplified. But I'd really encourage folks to volunteer for that. Again, lots of blank space on track co-producers and track coordinator. And so for the folks that are joining virtually and all the folks in the room, this is the step. So we have the review the papers, which is loading things up and getting the tracks going, but this is also extremely important. And you all have interacted with the folks that have volunteered previously on doing this. So again, consider this is not an either or necessarily. You can definitely volunteer for both. So, but think about that as well, because you can tell the effort that it takes to really pull it all together, and having involvement. You too can influence the future direction of next year. So with that, and Stay thirsty for data, my friends. So there you go. So I guess we can open it up for questions if folks, we got a little bit of time. I know folks are tired and ready to head out. But if you do have any questions, Rich is here and be happy to answer them. See, I'm volunteering you. This voluntold, right? No. Any questions, comments?
No questions?
Going once? Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much. And let's give everyone in the room here applause for attending 2023 and ready to go to 2024. And Dr. Talbert has a comment.
Yeah, if you do want to volunteer for any of these, don't come to me. I'll forget. Send an email to the CDOIQ address, and let me tell you that the remote team has just really done a fantastic job of automating so many of our processes.
Great. Yeah, I didn't mean to bury you in the emails, right? So yeah, everything goes through CDIQ because it's like the hub, and then it gets dispatched out, right? Robert, what's that?
Your time has come.
And here's Robert.
No, I do want to say thank you to everyone who participated. We had so many volunteers this year to make this operation a success. You can be one of those volunteers, which is above and beyond being a track producer, and that is by getting in touch with Richard Wang and the team, and you help by assisting us setting up and alike, and we couldn't do this without our sponsors. And I just want to point out we have here a special guest, Dr. Christine Legner, who runs the European Symposium, which is in September. Correct? September 14th. So if you happen to be in Switzerland, Lausanne, Switzerland, you may want to attend that event as well as the other international events. So since there's no questions, maybe Peter or Gertrude, nothing? Christine, do you want to say something? No, she said.
Just perhaps if you have CDOs in Europe that would like to attend, so make them aware of the event, or if you want to also join. I think for every other regional event, it's the same. So we are trying to globalize in a sort, or go into different regions, and the communities are not yet as established as this community, and we need the help of all of you for, on the one hand, having participation, on the other hand, sponsors, and looking forward to see you next year here or in one of the regional events, obviously also.
South Africa.
You're putting me on the spot. Apparently, everybody just want to come, get an excuse to come to South Africa. It's a good excuse. So get it? Rich, sorry, we'll give you a ticket, but business class, you pay yourself. You pay in, so that's all I'm saying. We work in Rand, so the whole thing is on another economy of scale. But the event will make up for everything that you think you miss. So my suggestion is, if you come out, the event will be in Pretoria, which is the capital, and the Kruger Park and the National, and it's up. It's a whole country on its own. So South Africa is like the US.
June.
It's 4-5 June.
4, 5.
4, 5, 6, somewhere. But it's on your list there.
Yeah.
Right.
She's
Okay.
giving it.
Okay. So South Africa is like US but of steroids. So on the East Coast, we've got, the tropical side. On the West Coast, it's absolutely desert. And then up north, it's wild Africa, trees, etc. And then, of course, Cape Town area is like Europe. We've got the French wines from 1700, but better. The best thing about it, it's price-wise, you cannot beat it. So for $20, you'll get a bottle of wine, a massive steak, and stuff like that. So it's a good place to come. But, Rich, that's why we cannot charge these enormous dollar and euro prices out in South Africa. Hanley is working on that.
I'll drink wine remotely.
Absolutely. So the event will be, we're working with the University of Pretoria. They've got their own campus, and we're looking at how we're fitting. There's already some sponsors. Maybe just a thought that while I see you now is, I get the idea the natural for the South African side will try to run a CDO, but already in chapters, in the sector, in the sense that banking would like to do a little bit of their own, maybe defense on their side, oil and gas, you know, something like that. But we'll thrash it out and let you know. See you all there.
So give you a flavor. Thank you, everybody.
So that ends it. Just a little round of applause for our host, Mark Ramsey. Thank you, Mark. See everybody next year. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Finland is here. Yes, of course. We don't want to miss that. Sir, did you want to mention Finland?
Thanks. So we are also organizing CDOIQ Nordic in Finland, February 6th next year. And it will be the coolest CDOIQ ever. Well, it's winter time, there will be snow, ice, and so on. So, of course, we are focusing mostly on the Nordic participants. Here isn't many of them, but if somebody comes from other countries, we probably don't block it because, well, you are welcome, and we are the happiest country officially. Yes. So, and now because we joined NATO, we are also safe. So, happy and safe.
Well, that should end it. Richard, you get the last one.
Thanks, everybody. Come back next year.